My name is Mendy Barron. I am a licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist and the founder of Ignite Teen Treatment. And yes, this is a fake backdrop. It's entertaining and figured to make things more interesting. In any case, I'm here to speak today about bullying. Bullying is a massive, massive prevalent issue that affects not just teens, but adults as well. Bullying today is very different than people perceived it in the past. You know, the traditional version of bullying involves a 90s nerd with a pocket protector who's in school and gets picked on by the jock. Let's say his name is Biff, right? There's your 90s cliche. And Biff is a big dude, and he pushes the nerd down, and the kid falls down, and all the stuff falls out of his pocket, and his backpack falls over in the schoolyard, and everyone laughs. And he's ashamed, he's sad. He goes home, he licks his wounds, and he comes back the next day, but he's resilient. And eventually Biff gets bored. And that's the classic trope. Today, bullying is nothing like that at all. Bullying varies. First of all, the bully doesn't have to be tough or the big jock, and the person being picked on doesn't have to be the nerd or the outcast. The person doing the picking could be somebody with a cell phone. And the shame isn't just the schoolyard, because now with social media, our schoolyards are connected. So you could be in one school or you could be connected to 50 schools. And the shame and the embarrassment goes on and on and on because, as they say, once it's on the internet, it's forever. And there's that really strong sense of permanence, a sense that this can't be undone, a sense that this is unescapable. And really, when we see bullying taking place today, because of the impact and because of how easy it is for people to bully other people, and because of how many people see it, and because of the perception of how many people see it, you really have a lot of folks looking and saying, I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left to live for. This is permanent. This is forever. And unfortunately, they too make very permanent decisions, which is why bullying is directly linked to suicide. And suicide has increased dramatically around the ages entering middle and high school. It's no coincidence. In the state of Nevada, suicide is the #1 killer for teens. Bullying is directly tied to these statistics. And bullying is something that cannot be left ignored. It's very easy for folks to talk about topics like shootings and school shootings and guns in schools, to talk about grades in schools, to talk about drugs. But bullying has a massive impact. And bullying is something that must be eradicated, if at all possible, within the school system. And obviously, culturally, we'd like to do that as well. When it comes to bullying, and when it comes to taking action, it's not simple, but there's something that every single one of you can do. Number one, there's a saying, if you go to any airport, if you see something, say something. If you are seeing bullying take place in an overt way, which isn't what always happens, but if you see it taking place, it isn't just an expectation that you should say something, it's your obligation. Not saying something is equivalent to seeing a kid walking into the street and not doing anything about it. It's equivalent to watching somebody hit somebody and not doing something about it. It is your civic, ethical, and moral responsibility to speak up, to say, hey, this isn't appropriate, to say, hey, this needs to stop, to say, hey, I can't accept this. That doesn't mean you have to physically bully somebody else to get the results, but it means you have to say something to let the bully know, I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to let it happen. And a lot of times when it comes to that, visibility is your biggest precursor to stopping, and not positive visibility, not playing into the bullying and giving the bully support, but calling them out and making them know that if you do this, there will be consequences socially for you. And for bullies, a good amount of them struggle socially and are utilizing bullying as a method of social control. So if you can say something, if you can speak up, if you can set boundaries for that, that is the #1 way to step in. Now, not everybody wants you to step in, right? It's very typical that when people are bullied, they're afraid that if you do step in, there'll be further shame, that they'll look like they need help, that they'll look like they're weak. And so you can't always do it, or if you do step in, maybe it happens once, but it's hard to do it on a regular basis if somebody doesn't want it. And 9 times out of 10, they don't want it. Even though they want it, they don't want it. And so what you can do there is be a support to somebody who is being bullied, to encourage them to stand up, to encourage them to seek help, to be there for them, to be a sense of support, to check in. It is so important, if you know somebody's going through something, to let them know at a bare minimum, I'm here for you. I'm here for what you need. I'm here to support you. I believe in you. You mean something. Because again, what bullying tells people is they're insignificant, they're inconsequential, and they don't mean anything. And you want to rewrite that narrative if and at all possible. The third thing you can do, which is also very critical, is advocate. I would say 9 out of 10 schools, and again, it's a very broad statistic, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a fact, most schools do not have metrics for bullying. They have metrics for how many times their sports teams win. They have metrics for the grades they put out and the average GPA of their student. They have metrics for all sorts of things in order to get funding, in order to draw attention, in order to get better students, in order to develop a higher reputation and stand out from other schools. Very few of them have a set of rules or metrics for bullying. Very few of them can tout, we've had a decrease in bullying by X amount. And it's very interesting that they don't have these kinds of things. They also have safety procedures, right? You have metal detectors, and you have you have spot checks, and you have ways to catch people cheating on tests, and you have all sorts of methods to catch nefarious acts, but they don't have very much for bullying. They have therapists who will support you if you are being bullied, but that's more of a patch, if you will. Not that therapy isn't important, but it's addressing the results of an issue, but not the issue itself. And so what you can do is petition your schools to create a similar system, to create a system whereby your teachers are held accountable if there's bullying in their classroom, whereby parents are held accountable if their kids are bullying other people. And if you can't get your school itself to do it, you may be able to get the district to do it, to hold the school accountable and say, hey, you want your funding for the new football field? I want to see your bullying statistics go down. Right? You want to get recognized? I need to see these statistics go down. You want to stand out and get awarded? I want to see what you're doing about this. Sorry, my yarmulke fell off. Getting really passionate. Want to do something about it? Want to get these results? Want to get recognition? Want to get funding? We want to see what you are doing about bullying. And if we can get the system to be accountable for the process, this is also critical. In the end of the day, no one person can do everything. But each of us can do our part in these little ways to put a stop to bullying and end what is essentially a very serious disease here in our country and around the world.